AI can accelerate workflows, but speed without trust creates risk. In this module, we'll look at how strong data governance, security, transparency, accountability, and human oversight help organizations adopt AI responsibly at enterprise scale. So far, we've built a clear foundation: what Regrello AI is, how AI-powered workflows are designed, and how process intelligence reveals bottlenecks and improvement opportunities. We've also introduced roles, permissions, and administrative controls. Now the focus shifts to governing data and using AI responsibly, so future integrations and change management rest on a secure, trustworthy operating model. In AI-powered workflows, governance is what turns raw data into outputs people can safely use. A model may process supplier records, customer details, contracts, or regulated content, but reliability depends on the controls around that data. Governance defines who can access information, what AI is allowed to do with it, and when a person must review the result. That creates more than compliance. It builds trust, makes decisions auditable, and gives teams confidence to scale AI without losing control. Before introducing AI into an operational workflow, classify the data it will touch. Not all information carries the same risk. Pricing, forecasts, production plans, and strategy are business sensitive because they affect competitive advantage. Employee names, contact details, locations, and roles are personal information, so privacy rules apply. Supplier and customer data may reveal commercial terms, delivery performance, or relationship history. Regulated information carries the highest governance burden because laws, contracts, or industry rules define how it must be handled. Classification helps teams choose the right controls before automation begins. From there, ask what data the workflow truly needs to achieve its objective. If a field, attachment, or note is not required, leave it out. Then classify the sensitivity of what remains, because personal identifiers, health details, financial data, and business confidential content need different handling. Next, design access boundaries. Keep highly sensitive steps separate from broad collaboration, and use structured fields so AI tools interpret information consistently. Finally, validate AI outputs. A summary, recommendation, or notification can accidentally expose context, even when the original record is protected. The next governance question is simple: should this data be available at all? Apply least privilege so people, workflows, and AI features only see what they truly need to perform the task. Then minimize the data moving through the process. Collect less, process less, and display less, especially when sensitive fields are involved. Also, decide how long records, attachments, decisions, and generated outputs should remain accessible. These choices should not be ad hoc. They need to match policy, legal requirements, audit needs, and real operational value. Data controls are only one part of responsible AI. Teams also need guardrails for how AI is used. People need transparency, so they know when AI is involved and what role it plays. Teams need accountability, with clear owners for design, configuration, review, and results. High-impact work needs human oversight, so judgment stays visible where it matters most. And every use case should be tested for fairness, explainability, and fit. The goal is not to slow innovation. It is to make AI decisions understandable, reviewable, and safe enough to rely on operationally. Transparency turns an AI output from a black box into something a user can judge. First, make it clear when a summary or recommendation was generated with AI. Then connect it to the evidence behind it, such as tasks, comments, documents, sales trends, or workflow history. The explanation should use business language: why the recommendation matters, what assumptions it depends on, and where confidence may be limited. Finally, AI should support action, not replace judgment. For important decisions, users should verify the output against trusted records before moving forward. I can recommend, prioritize, and flag issues, but it should not blur ownership. Start by defining who controls the workflow: configuration, usage rules, approvals, and exceptions. Then decide where human review is mandatory, especially for supplier choices, compliance issues, financial approvals, and customer commitments. Every step needs a record: what AI suggested, who reviewed it, what was approved, and what action followed. When the output is uncertain, incomplete, or conflicting, the process should escalate to the right owner instead of forcing an automatic decision. Think of responsible AI as driving with guardrails. In the open lane, AI is useful for low-risk support, such as summarizing information, interpreting status, routing requests, or flagging possible bottlenecks. When the output could affect a person, a supplier, a customer, money, or a contract, you move into the caution zone. That means human review, policy checks, and bias testing are required. Some uses should be restricted entirely unless strong controls exist, especially unreviewed high-impact decisions. The goal is not to avoid AI. It is to define what it may recommend, what it may automate, and when it must escalate. AI risk in workflows is often less about one dramatic failure and more about small errors moving through a process with confidence. A summary can drop a key exception. A recommendation can ignore a recent customer conversation, a policy limit, or a contract term. Sensitive data can be exposed if prompts, outputs, or integrations are not controlled. And the biggest amplifier is overtrust. People stop checking because the answer sounds polished. Manage these risks by asking 2 questions for each workflow. How likely is this issue? And what business impact would it have if nobody caught it? Treat every AI summary as a starting point, not the final record. Before anyone acts, make the source material easy to open and review. For high-impact decisions, require users to confirm the facts that matter: dates, commitments, customer intent, amounts, or risk signals. Improve the input side as well. Structured fields, required details, and standard templates give the model less room to guess. Finally, make corrections simple. If a summary is wrong, incomplete, or missing context, users should be able to flag it so the workflow and prompts improve over time. Data leakage usually happens when information moves, not when it sits still. A workflow may start with confidential documents, then generate AI summaries, notifications, reports, exports, or system updates. Each handoff is a potential exposure point. The control is to keep permissions attached to the data as it travels. Limit what summaries include, who receives alerts, what reports reveal, and which integrations can pass details downstream. Then monitor behavior, repeated access, unusual downloads, large exports, or forwarding sensitive outputs. Prevention combines good boundaries with active detection. Governance works when it becomes part of normal operations, not a policy document stored after launch. Before AI is enabled in sensitive workflows, review the risk and define controls. Once it is live, monitor usage, feedback, escalations, and repeated output problems. Keep audit records that connect AI-assisted recommendations, human decisions, and workflow changes. And when something goes wrong, such as data exposure or inappropriate use, teams need a clear response path. This turns governance into a repeatable management system, rather than a one-time setup task. To close, effective Regrello AI adoption starts with knowing your data and governing it throughout workflow design. Responsible AI adds clear principles: transparency, accountability, fairness, appropriate use, and human oversight. Risks like inaccurate summaries, missing context, leakage, or overtrust must be managed intentionally. Next, we'll connect these controls to enterprise architecture, then to change management and adoption strategy.